Welcome back to USAWarStories, the home of real American heroes. Here, we honor their courage, share their battles, and keep their legacy alive.
In the fall of 1983, the Caribbean island of Grenada was in turmoil. A violent coup had overthrown the government, leaving U.S. leaders deeply concerned about the safety of American medical students on the island. As the political crisis escalated, Washington began weighing the possibility of military intervention. In Washington, President Ronald Reagan met with his National Security Council. Reports described instability on Grenada and the growing influence of Cuban and Soviet advisors. Concerned about regional security and the lives of over 600 American students on the island, Reagan approved a military intervention, Operation Urgent Fury. Across U.S. bases in the Caribbean, troops began rapid preparations. Paratroopers, Marines, Navy SEALs, and Army Rangers were mobilized for the mission. Equipment was loaded on a C-130 transport planes and naval ships positioned near Grenada. Within hours, America's armed forces were ready for one of the largest rapid deployments since Vietnam. At first light on October 25, 1983, U.S. Army Rangers parachuted toward Grenada's Point Salines airfield. Anti-aircraft fire rose from below as the transports approached. Despite resistance, waves of paratroopers descended, securing the runway for incoming forces. The operation had officially begun under fire. While Rangers dropped onto the airfield, Navy SEALs faced difficulties during their insertion by sea. Rough waters and strong currents made landings treacherous, causing delays and losses of equipment. Despite the setbacks, the SEALs regrouped, determined to complete their mission of securing key coastal positions. As Rangers fought at the airfield, U.S. Marines landed on Grenada's northern coast. Amphibious craft rolled onto the beaches, deploying infantry and armored vehicles. They advanced quickly, securing key roads and villages, pushing back Grenadian and Cuban resistance. The beachhead was secure, and U.S. forces expanded their control. While U.S. forces fought to secure the island, hundreds of American medical students remained trapped at St. George's University. Confined to their dormitories, they listened nervously to the sounds of gunfire and aircraft overhead. Their safety was a driving force behind the mission, and rescue efforts soon became a top priority. At the True Blue campus near the airfield, U.S. Army Rangers advanced under fire to rescue the medical students. Moving cautiously through open ground and buildings, they secured the area and evacuated dozens of civilians. It was one of the first major successes of the operation, lives saved in the midst of combat. As U.S. forces expanded across Grenada, they faced stiff resistance from Cuban military advisors and local troops. Armed with heavy weapons and fortified positions, the defenders put up strong firefights in pockets across the island. Despite the danger, American forces pressed forward, determined to achieve their objectives. One of the fiercest battles took place at Fort Rupert, a key military stronghold overlooking the capital, St. George's. U.S. troops moved in with air and naval support, facing heavy fire from defenders. After intense fighting, the fort was secured, cutting off a critical command center and shifting momentum firmly to American control. At the Grand Anse campus, another group of American students remained trapped as fighting raged nearby. In a daring daylight mission, U.S. Army Rangers stormed the campus under fire, evacuating the students by helicopter. The operation was risky, but it saved lives and showcased the determination behind the mission. With key objectives secured, U.S. Marines continued their push along Grenada's northern coast. Clearing villages and roads, they confronted sporadic resistance from Cuban engineers and local forces. Every move was coordinated with naval and air support, ensuring that the operation maintained momentum toward full island control. By late October 25th, U.S. forces advanced into St. George's, the capital of Grenada. Key government buildings and communication centers were secured, and remaining pockets of resistance were neutralized. The swift occupation of the city marked a turning point in the operation, ensuring that American objectives were within reach. Facing overwhelming U.S. firepower and coordinated assaults, many Cuban soldiers and Grenadian defenders began retreating or surrendering. American forces secured strategic positions, minimizing further civilian casualties. The rapid collapse of resistance showcased the effectiveness of the combined airborne, amphibious, and special operations approach. With major combat zones secured, U.S. forces prioritized evacuating American civilians and students. Helicopters ferried medical students and other trapped residents to safety, while soldiers ensured safe passage through previously contested streets. The coordinated rescue efforts highlighted the humanitarian side of the military operation. By the end of the first day, American forces had established control over key areas of Grenada. Command posts were set up, patrols secured streets, and checkpoints ensured order. The combination of Rangers, Marines, SEALs, and supporting air and naval units demonstrated a highly coordinated occupation. Following initial control, U.S. forces worked to secure Grenada's critical infrastructure. Power stations, communication centers, and transportation hubs were quickly brought under military oversight. Ensuring these facilities remained operational was vital for stabilizing the island and supporting ongoing operations. As the island stabilized, U.S. forces coordinated with international observers and allowed controlled media access. Press teams documented the evacuation of civilians, the surrender of enemy forces, and the establishment of order. Transparency helped communicate the mission's objectives and reassure the global community. With combat operations winding down, U.S. commanders conducted thorough assessments of the mission. Casualties were accounted for, infrastructure damage evaluated, and lessons for future rapid interventions documented. The operation was hailed as a swift success, demonstrating the effectiveness of joint military forces in a complex foreign environment. After securing Grenada and ensuring the safety of American civilians, U.S. forces began a phased withdrawal. The operation left the island stabilized under a provisional government, and lessons learned shaped future rapid response missions. Operation Urgent Fury became a case study in joint military coordination and decisive action under pressure. Thank you for watching this in-depth account of Operation Urgent Fury in Grenada. For more true stories of courage, strategy, and historic military missions, subscribe to USA War Stories and hit the notification bell. Join our community of military history enthusiasts and never miss another gripping story of heroism and decisive action.